Hello Brinda and hello Alistair. Thanks for coming along today. We just wanted to follow up and have a chat about good development, good practice and development and North-South partnerships following our AGM yesterday. Thank you very much for your input yesterday, it was great. We just wanted to ask a few more questions. And the first one was whether you think Northern NGOs still are relevant in development. Do they have a useful role?
Yes, they do have a useful role.
And what do you think those roles might be?
Beginning with advocacy and helping to formulate better policies. And yes, the whole issue of fair trade.
If one of your organisations that you work with in Bangalore was to come to say to you, we would like to have a relationship with a northern partner, what are the top tips that you would give to them to try to make that a good start?
First and foremost, very important that the partnership begins as a relationship based on mutual respect, equal footing, and understanding that the Southern organization will continue with its independence. Also very important to the Northern organization to accept that the Southern organization have indigenous knowledge that has been tested, issues that already are prevalent and understood by the Southern organizations in a certain manner. This kind of information and knowledge is respected and probably developed upon. So that is one of the first that I would like to say and almost put it down as a founding principle. Mm-hmm. The second would be that whatever program, project, concerns are being addressed, it is something that is coming from within the community. That the need arose from the community. And if the initiative to do something different, to do it better, to challenge injustice, whatever that might be, comes from within the community, then yes, encourage the organization, the group within that community. The third important aspect that I think should be necessarily into consideration is we cannot always have somebody telling or giving input from the outside and that there is someone who has this expert advice and so we need to learn. Yes, we must learn and understand from them, but it always cannot be a organization, one institution that is doing this. And hence, I believe, and that is how we work, is to encourage collective action. The fourth aspect, yes, is funding. But funding on the terms of the Southern organization. Funding in respecting this organization, that we're not giving something from outside to somebody who's there, but saying that we are willing to work alongside with you, with aspects and support that we have for knowledge that you have and needs to be improved, must be challenged, must be changed. The fifth important aspect is continuing everything that has begun, that has been a good practice, that has shown that people themselves become their first line of defense and hence leadership from within the community. And the whole issue that there is transformation that is happening, maybe of people who are part of the project, who, if I may say, are beneficiaries of a certain program, and volunteers, staff, employees, anybody else who's party in that community. So the continuing is a transformation, is leadership, and moving on, willing to redistribute power.
You've spoken quite a few times, and you certainly emphasised this at the AGM yesterday, that the importance of working with individual interventions and of listening to the community and allowing the community to lead development. I mean, in your experience, how often do you think this actually happens in, when you see how development is done generally, say in India? Is this common? And if it's not, how do you think it could be that communities can have more involvement in setting the agenda for development?
This is not at all common in India. Yes, now a lot of groups believe and are actually advocating that communities set the agenda.
Mm.
But then again, when we talk of communities, we're talking of a very small group of people. When in India we have the state policies and the national policies.
Mm.
And when we're talking of setting agendas, it also means budget. And the budget is not set by the community. Taxation procedures are very different. So we have some tax that the state has, and a lot of it that goes to the national kitty.
Mm.
When we're talking right now of community setting agenda, we are actually hoping that elected representatives and people in civil society participate in governance, because that will be the only way in probably 10-25 years time they may be able to set agendas. Attending to something like this in a compartmentalized fashion does not work. It has to work with every area being simultaneously given the same importance. Governance, health, drinking water, electricity, schooling, you have to have all of it. But for some reason, we always seem to be doing something that goes a little more forward, something else that has more money, and hence communities are not able to set agendas for themselves in the manner that they would like to. But there are efforts on, and there have been case studies of communities that have been able to bring about this kind of an agenda in at least 3 or 4 areas of community life. And that is something which we need to replicate. I would like to make a point that this is to your first question. Yes, northern organizations are important, because even though in another couple of years India might be part of the G8 or let's say G18, and we may be able to have our own say where trade and international funding and loans and whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
But just now, northern organizations are in a better position to advocate for issues that are concerning southern organizations.
Mm-hmm.
B, northern organizations must realize that it's their people who are contributing to a lot of ill effects, if I may put it so.
The causes of poverty.
Causes of poverty. And hence the people who are suffering continue to go deeper into poverty. And yet it is also the same people who are asked to make do without whatever. Make do without this, make do without that, so that we will save electricity, we will save water, we will save this. It must become very important to every individual living in northern countries that they as individuals have a very strong, important role to play on how they do their everyday living, how much they consume, what they consume.
Maybe as well, northern communities can learn from some of the collective action and advocacy that's going on in southern countries, that we can learn some of those lessons for our own democracy here in Scotland.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for your time, Brinda. Really appreciate it. Thank you to you, Alistair.